They are like taking this moralistic stance, doing this moral policing thing, and they're disguising it as protection, appointing themselves as moral guardians that we are elder brothers, the age gap is wrong. Let's be clear, adults legally, and in our country it means 18 plus, are allowed to make choices which seem uncomfortable to you. Let's say if a person is 35 or other person is 19, if they are consensually dating or whatnot, it's their own thing. But just because you are uncomfortable with how a big man or big person is dating such a younger girl, it's a moral standpoint which is just cloaked under this illegality and you have done so and so ethically wrong things and things like that. We are confusing these two things. Probably whatever adults do, it's their own choice, because I've seen this prevalent that how can 27-year-old talk to 18, 19-year-old? Legally speaking, they are adults. Whatever one wants to do, they can. Let's say if the genders are reversed, would we still ask this question? I have seen a lot of people. Yo guys, namaskaram. So I was away for some time due to a lot of things that had been existing in the YouTube space and whatnot. But the moment I open up news, let's say interact with people from my community, always I see things going which just makes me question that as a male, is it even worth surviving in this country? So recently a couple of cases, I just want to highlight two of them, has been growing a lot. And if you see in our history, predominantly when the internet culture and all exploded in 2010s and all of that, it's a recurrent theme. So I'm not making this video to be polite, I'm making it because I see certain behaviors that are being rewarded today, even when they produce irreversible damage. And the moment you start questioning those behaviors, you're told to shut up, not because you are wrong, but because you're inconvenient. A tool that can now be thrown off, that has no utility from, let's say, societal economical point of view. So recently a man in Kerala had deleted himself. He goes by the name of Mr. Deepak after a video of him went viral. In that video, a woman accused him of sexually assaulting her on a crowded bus. So I'm not declaring her intention, it's for the authorities to decide. I'm talking about the behavior and its outcome. The outcome right now here is not subjective. A man is no more with us. Now, if we look at that video objectively, it's a crowded bus, an everyday scenario. People are standing back to back like this. Bodies bumping due to movement because bus is moving. The roads are also very good. There are holes and all of that. So usually bumps happen in a lot of buses. No visible use of hands. No clear act that conclusively establishes sexual intent. And yet, the allegation alone was treated as the final truth. So, recording someone, uploading it publicly, making a life destroying allegation without investigation, without verification, without allowing any defense from the other party. This behavior is not neutral, because we talk a lot about everyone being equal and looking at things from a neutral perspective, but when it comes to one gender, everything just seems right. And pretending it that we are so neutral and all of that is beyond criticism. It's moral cowardice. So now I'm not saying that assault does not exist, because if you see my Hindi channel, maybe in this channel, in that same state, a man was publicly groping a woman's breast. That's like visible sexual assault, and of course, that needs to be, let's say, called out. Due processes must be taken where, like, the intent was obvious, where action was undeniable. That deserves a lot of scrutiny and all of that. But when every ambiguous interaction is framed as assault, real cases, the real women that are actually facing this, they just lose all that gravity. And then justice becomes noise and virtue signaling and whatnot. So if one accusation, unsupported by process, can socially annihilate a person, then no one is safe. Normal back-to-back bumping is a human process in traveling in a public bus. And I see that this is a pattern, not an incident. This is not one-off case. This is becoming a larger pattern wherein there's this trend of publicly just accusing males for things, for the heinous of the heinous crimes. It's like treated as this normal day-to-day language thing. Public shaming I've seen is treated as activism because our lives are so hollow to do any real change. So now we're coming to a recent controversy about person, musician, commentator fits into this pattern. So I'm not judging the allegations, whatever it is. I'm just seeing that how quickly public execution is replacing due process. So let's just talk about very important thing, privacy and consent, which really bugged me a lot. Because we speak endlessly about consent, privacy, and whatnot. So recently, the government also had this app, which was then later questioned by Apple, due to which it was not installed in our phones. because it violated our privacy. We talk a lot about it. But let me just ask you this one uncomfortable question which happened in this case. If consent matters, why does it suddenly stop mattering when private chats are released publicly without taking the consent of the other party? Publishing private conversations is not a passive act, it's a decision, and a decision deserves scrutiny. There are ways wherein you can just handle it responsibly by going to the valid authorities and then just taking things in due process as mature people. Because if we also talk about India's got latent controversy, when they were accused, they were following the due process by going to the legal station and whatnot. They were not leaking private conversations without the consent of the other party. Now I understand sexual violence exists, survivors exist. Saying that does not mean that every public allegation is handled ethically. Let me take you back 10 years. In 2016, Sarabjit Singh, he was branded as a rapist by the entire country. Before his side was heard, later it was acknowledged that he was falsely implicated. No one returned his ears, no one paid for his damage. Public shaming has no rollback button. Once it goes, it just keeps on growing and growing. And then I've also seen a recent trend. I was watching some videos of creators. I would not like to name anybody, but they are like taking this moralistic stance, doing this moral policing thing, and they're disguising it as protection, appointing themselves as moral guardians that we are elder brothers, the age gap is wrong. Let's be clear, adults legally, and in our country it means 18 plus, are allowed to make choices which seem uncomfortable to you. Let's say if a person is 35 or other person is 19, if they are consensually dating or whatnot, it's their own thing. But just because you are uncomfortable with how a big man or big person is dating such a younger girl, it's a moral standpoint which is just cloaked under this illegality, and you have done so and so ethically wrong things and things like that. We are confusing these two things. Probably whatever adults do, it's their own choice. Because I've seen this prevalent that how can 27-year-old talk to a 18, 19-year-old? Legally speaking, they are adults. Whatever one wants to do, they can. Let's say if the genders are reversed, would we still ask this question? I have seen a lot of people, corporate affairs, people are 20, 21, dating people in their 50s so that they can get promotions, sleeping their way to the top. Sometimes it exists in a lot of weird scenarios where professors are going into live-in relationships with their 19-year-old, 20-year-olds, or married women for that matter, cheating on their husbands with their college people and things like that. So all sorts of realities exist, but I don't know why we just like to selectively outrage, and this tells a lot of deeper things. You see, when targets are weak, outrage is very loud, but when targets are powerful, outrage disappears. A recent comment by a politician is very viral these days, that one should just enjoy grape when it is happening to them. But there's not a lot of outrage on that because they're powerful in ways which there would be legal costs and consequences coming up your way if you start speaking. But we just don't see any outrage in that angle. We just like pulling people down without even hearing their side of the story. This just tells you exactly how much of this is justice and how much of it is fear-based calculation. Let me just bring in one more topic to this discussion. We talk a lot about morality. Many people are speaking loudly about justice today. Consuming dairy, meat, and animal products. Milk production involves forced impregnation of cows, wherein you're just putting your hand into her. Calves are separated. Animals are killed for consumption. If morality were consistent, veganism would not be optional. It would be mandatory. But it's not. Why? Because morality is often not about harm. It's about what your culture finds aesthetically acceptable, which brings me to Nietzsche, wherein he says that morality has aesthetic standards. Killing a cockroach feels acceptable. Killing a butterfly feels wrong. The harm is the same. You're taking one life off the planet. The emotional framing around it is very different. This same selective morality operates online today. Now, let's just return to the real question. Are we interested really in justice or changing the system from inside out? Or are we addicted to destruction? You see, consider a realistic scenario. Let's all of you have been in school, co-ed schools and things like that. two teenagers dating in school. One is in his plus two, the girl is in 10th. So the guy is 18 or about to turn 18, the girl is 15, 16. They continue their relationship. Let's say the guy goes to the college in first year, he's 18, 19, and the girl is 16, 17. They sexually come together and whatnot. Now, would this be considered a crime? Legally, yes, but would they speak about it? Let's say if things later go wrong. Legally, the consequences can be catastrophic. Socially, these relationships you see exist everywhere. This gap between law and reality is where lives are destroyed, because you can just frame as per your convenience certain people and whatnot. Again, if I have to come at it from a very practical point, so there's a journalist, Mrs. Deepika Narayan Bhardwaj, who is respected a lot, and she has documented these cases wherein laws are misused and men are falsely implicated. Talking about misuse does not deny real victims, it just acknowledges real reality. YouTube is not a courtroom. There are like proper legal routes that exist in that way. Whatever people's motivations are, that's up to them. But how can we not be sure that if someone is a manipulative who are just doing things for their own fame and virality so that business can come to them? You see, outrage, this thing brings in a lot of visibility, and a lot of people just like farming views so that visibility falls upon them and their business increases. So it's a net some positive game for them. But the actual behavior that deserves criticism is making irreversible accusations publicly, ignoring ambiguity, treating outrage as evidence, pretending consequences does not matter because he's a man, he can handle all of it. It's social responsibility to build a society wherein we can just trust people, wherein we can create a high trust society. Because right now, what if the person decides to delete himself in this whole controversy? How then would all these creators justify? I've also seen one video wherein a person was saying just disappear and all of that. So if an action contributes to a man deleting himself, are we really going to say that no one is allowed to question how that was handled? I just want to end this video because certain patterns are weird, and when we start framing it from different lenses, a lot of perspectives change. I think survivors do deserve support, but the behavior that destroys lives deserves a lot of scrutiny, regardless of who does it, be it a man, be it a woman. Public shaming without process is not justice, it is power without restraint. Because let's say there's an XYZ person who has a decent bit of following, maybe he is easier to attack, and until and unless the police get involved, wherein your phones are checked, all scrutiny is done, until that point is reached, probably we should just not become the judge, executioner and jury, because we frankly just don't hold that power to decide someone's life. I know a lot of people will get offended by this, but probably I think objectively, if we just look at things, the system is the same for everyone, regardless of how pathetic it is. I think just following that would make much more sense rather than just coming online, because like the precedent that we are setting in this country is if a person is trying to come out of the middle class trap, let's say he has a talent and whatnot, if he becomes a little bit famous, even if there are not any genuine incidents happening, if he's just traveling on a bus, going for a show or tour or whatnot, one wrong allegation on a public platform will destroy his credibility and God forbid his life if he is not very strong. But if we as the young people of our country refuse to question destructive behavior, there's a deeper problem, because again, quoting Nietzsche, morality has aesthetic standards. It all just comes down to inner honesty. But anyhow, those were 2 cents of a perspective which I wanted to share. Let's not be the judge jury. Just handle it maturely as responsible citizens of our country. But anyhow, those are my opinions. Feel free to write what your opinions have been, and I'll catch you in the next video. Do let me know what videos would you like to see. Anyhow, you stay awesome. Do write what weaknesses have you broken in the comment section, and I'll be signing off. So until then, this is Debu Ki Dastak from Debu Ki Dastak signing off. Cheers.